The third topic that was for third workshop tackled the problem of conservation in non-protected habitats. And this is going to be, their conclusion is going to be explained to you by Mr. Wilfried Landung, who is the General Manager of Protected Areas and Biodiversity Conservation Unit of Sarawak Forestry. He comes from Sarawak. And I should say that for your benefit, he has brought with him a number of leaflets and CDs which are available outside there and which you are welcome to take if you want to know a little bit more about Sarawak Forestry and its activities in biodiversity and protected areas. Wilfried, please.
Thank you very much, Lord Cranbrook. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I think firstly, may I thank my group, who consisted of conservators, managers, scientists, economists, NGO experts, who has given me the confidence to speak in front of you here. And my job is to present what is a balanced view among all of us. Yeah? And nothing in this presentation would represent a personal opinion from myself. As I work for a government agency that is managing conservation in the state of Sarawak. Now, just a bit of a brief on orang-utan. I think maybe most of you do know that orang-utan live in both the islands of Borneo and Sumatra. And in Borneo itself, there are three range states of orang-utan, which is Kalimantan, Sabah, a state in Malaysia, and Sarawak, where I come from. And I must say that we do not have any expert from Sumatra that was with us in the group. But we would also qualify that 60% or above 60% of orang-utans do live outside of protected areas or in non-protected areas. That is the group's opinion. But as in the case of Sarawak, I would like to say that almost 100% of our orang-utan live in protected areas. So that's where the major difference is. Now, what we came out as a key challenge in non-protected areas habitat is land management. That would be the key issue, and of course, it will come with a subset of a host of issues that we would like to discuss here. And the first one would be involving land use policy. Now, it is important that land use policies in non-protected areas are very clear. And if possible, legislation is to be enhanced. I think this was also spoken about by the other group. And we talk about sustainable forestry management practices as well. And I think one of the more pertinent things which a lot of range states are now practicing is that in part of that non-protected areas, a certain amount of land should be set aside for conservation of species, particularly if it is in this case, it pertains to the orang-utan. I believe a number of the range states are already now introducing this as either a policy or a law. The main issue here is not so much as whether it is written as law. The main issue here is it effectively implemented on the ground? Okay? That would be the major challenge. Now, we do believe also, the group does believe that public participation in conservation is very, very important in order to ensure the effectiveness of conservation of orang-utan in non-protected areas. And it is believed that at this stage, there is still a high level of public apathy in terms of conservation, as well as awareness. I can profess that myself in my own home state of Sarawak, whereby we have to introduce a lot of conservation programs to ensure that the public feels and see and assist us in our conservation programs that we introduce. So in order to be effective for the conservators to carry out their job, it is very, very important that the public get engaged in one way or another and support the cause of conservation of the orangutan. My next point is the local community. Okay? Almost always, the local community that resides in orangutan habitats or as neighbors or living in or outside of protected areas or in any orangutan habitat for that matter, they are normally not very well off. And almost a lot of them are actually poor. So there is this issue of them addressing their own economic needs, the need to live, sustainable living for that matter, and engaging and participating in conservation, because they must see certain financial benefits. What's there in it for me if I help you? And this is one of those things that managers, conservators, for that matter, would have to assist the local community in deriving that sort of benefits, because they can't do it for themselves. So that can be a major problem. Now, the other one that the group discussed is also the fragmentation of orangutan habitats. In some parts of the orangutan range states, they are highly dispersed, And of course, unlike us humans, we can put ourselves and live in certain areas and all that and build towns and cities. But orangutan generally may differ in that sense. And they need a big area for them to range and try and survive in the wild. So one of the major challenges would be to create some kind of a corridor. And although we do believe also that the orangutans are highly adaptable to any habitat for that matter, and I think my group can confirm that with me. Now, the other thing that, yes, there has been a lot of studies and there's been a lot of discussions. There's been a lot of research that is done about the orangutans, both in Borneo as well as in Sumatra. But for us to be able to more effectively manage them in non-protected areas, a lot more knowledge of population dynamics need to be derived. In order to ensure that whatever is implemented for the future is something that we can manage. And also at the same time, to ensure effective use of the limited resources as we talked about in the beginning just now. And make sure that these resources are focused on these areas which will help effectively manage the population of orangutan in non-protected areas. So in conclusion, the group believes that there must be, or there has to be, a symbiotic relationship between land-based industries and conservators for effectively managing the orang-utan population for the future. Thank you very much.